Well, hello, family, friends, and YouTube. My name is Joe, and welcome to this 2024 What's Growing on the Farm video. I've been kind of pulling back from YouTube lately just because I feel like I don't add a lot to YouTube. However, I still like to document. I like to document what we're doing, what we're growing. And so this is the 2024 What's Growing on the Farm video. So right behind me is the main veggie garden. We got food growing other places, but we'll start out by doing a tour here. I don't know, 6 weeks or so back, I did a video on shaping our rows. And really what that mostly does, besides just hilling slightly, it really defines where the rows are going to be, so I don't have to lay them out with strings and whatnot. So we're going to go in there. I'm going to probably get on the other side of the camera and kind of talk to you about what is happening, what's growing, why we grow it, and so forth. So let's go. So before we get going inside the garden, I think it's worthwhile talking about what's growing outside the garden. If you watched that video where I was shaping the rows, you'll notice that the tiller really came out. I come back when I'm putting this fence together and I kind of reshape this, retill this a little bit, and then we just plant zinnias. I think there's some other flowers in there, but I don't ever remember what they are. We plant zinnias, and then you'll see that all this was kind of grown up outside here. That's already grown up in weeds and grasses, and then the space that goes into the chickens, where the chickens kind of use the garden, that's grown up. You can still see a little bit of ruts where the fences were, but it grows up pretty good. So we always start out with zinnias on the outside of the garden. All right, so now we're inside the garden. We truly are inside the garden. We're gonna kind of go by row here. I'm gonna work in some B-rolls so you can get a little closer look at it. But if I just walk behind the camera, it's gonna be jumpy, it's gonna be bumpy, everything. So row one, this is close to the house. This is usually one of the first rows that we plant, and usually I till this up with just a Troy-built horse. And then I kind of use the big tiller for the rest of the garden. We start out with some zucchini. This is actually yellow squash, summer squash, but we still call it yellow zucchini. We get a few plants of those, and then you can see my inside trellis. On that trellis, I will have cucumbers. We've got some sweet peas. We've got some kale, different lettuces, greens, that sort of stuff. Along with that, I've got some pole beans that I got from a coworker. And he said that they were very much like a blue lake. And quite honestly, it's an experiment. And what I've noticed is this is just bringing in a lot of those Japanese beetles. And so unless things change, this will be a first and last for me this season. But nonetheless, anytime I can get vertical food, it's a whole lot better. Row number two is green beans. These were originally, I believe, like a blue lake. I've been using the same seed now for right around 16 years, 17 years. And when I say the same seeds, every year, every couple years, I just let a few of those green beans go to maturity, dry up, and I use those seeds, and then we just keep cycling them back through. There's no need to buy green bean seeds. The only issue with that is you got to make sure that they are high and dry and that they don't mold, and that you collect them, let them dry, and then you pull them apart or whatever you use. Past that is some onions. And I don't grow very good onions here. We don't grow a lot of them by any means. They don't store well. Got some yellows, got some reds, and usually we use them a lot for just green onions, and then we'll have some small bulbs that we could add some red onions to, like a broccoli salad, or add some onions just for flavor, but they are not storage onions by any means, but that's what we have there. Row number three, we start out with, I've got a cabbage net down here, and I'm pretty sure that there's a hole inside that net because it's just full of moss, and the cabbages, honestly, they look just horrible this year. So I need to rethink my cabbage growing. And then we got 3 plants of your regular traditional, I believe it's Black Beauty zucchini. And so those things are pumping them out 1 to 3 a day. And so lock your doors, right? Because those zucchini are coming. And then I have 18 broccoli plants down the way there. And broccoli's been kind of slow, fighting worms as usual, but we're getting closer and closer to a harvest. Let's keep moving. Next 3 rows, 4, 5, and 6, those are all Roma tomatoes. We do canning. We can wholes, we can our tomato sauce, our spaghetti sauce, our marinara sauce, and we're canning lots and lots of tomatoes. And so we need lots of plants. And so we have I have 60 aromas in here. I should say 59. One of these little guys, it's got some kind of malfunction to it, and it just doesn't want to go. And so it's still alive, but it doesn't want to go. I don't know what the issue is, but we have 60 in this plot here, and they look pretty good. If you know anything about aromas, it is a determinant, and so it's flowering, and it'll only produce so many flowers, and it'll set that fruit on, and then it's just harvest time. Great tomato for canning. Row number 7. Row number 7, we start out with 2 cherry tomato plants. Cherry tomato plants, if you know anything about those, they're prolific, and so you only need a couple. Now, if you wanted to have a little road stand to have 4 or 5 or 6 of these things, you could keep those little bins full. But cherry tomatoes go everywhere. Any of them that split, they go right to the chickens. And so a real nice treat. We have 5 tomatillos. We've never grown tomatillos before. And so this is a new adventure for us, but we do like that green salsa. How do you say it, right? Salsa verde or something like that, right? So we have that. Then I have another few, 2 or 3 green zucchini. That's kind of a younger group, so they'll be coming on here in another couple weeks. And then I have another row of green beans. And so that is about 2.5, 3 weeks behind the first planting of green beans. And then I have 8 more Romas that instead of 3-foot spacing in cages, they're at about 1-foot spacing and being held up hopefully with a weave. We're going to call it the Youngblood weave, right? It's not your traditional Florida weave, but just trying to figure out, is it possible? Are they as productive in a smaller space? What is the loss by putting them in tighter? Is there a loss? We'll see, right? Next row, I guess this would be row 8, if I'm counting right. Row 8 is peppers. Peppers as far as the eye can see. I believe there is something like 36 peppers in there or something like that. Mostly green peppers. We do have a few jalapenos and a few Anaheim chili type peppers in there. And so that is what that is. This last row, row 9, we start out with some okra, and then I believe the missus has planted some dill down the way, and then the rest of the row is still empty, and we'll be starting some carrots in there soon. I'll probably be putting our planting of zucchini in there, and that's just free space. Let's go to the far end of the garden. Now we find ourselves at the far end of the garden. Everything you've seen is behind the camera. And so this is traditionally my perennial end of the garden. I'm not sure if that's true anymore, but right up the way you can see that all my asparagus, rhubarb, horseradish. I've got a small raised bed there that we just start some of the early lettuces in, and it's just weedy right now. But asparagus is all ferned out. Rhubarb is kind of, doing what rhubarb does during the summer. And horseradish, if you decide to plant horseradish, you can see right there, understand that it just spreads, and a little bit goes a long way. But man, if you want something hot, that'll do the trick. Strawberries, you see there are 3 rows of strawberries behind me, and then you can see that I have planted right here a 4th row as I did that renovating, where you cut them all back. And then you till in. You're trying to till the old strawberries under, leaving the newer strawberries. So your rows will shift one way or another per year. We do that, and so prior to doing that, I just you could barely see it there, but I was able to shovel out, pick through, and get a new row going. And so we had a good amount of rain, some cooler days, and so the timing was really great, even though it was luck, but the timing is really great, and everything seems to be established. And I've gone through and weeded everything, and soon they'll start sending out runners. At one time, this whole area here was all strawberries. We're talking 7-8 rows, 30-foot long rows, and it's a lot of strawberries. But it was pretty tasty. Squash. This is going to be my pie pumpkins, my spaghetti squash, butternuts. We got one more in there I can't think of. But it needs to be weeded a little bit, but I use these hog panels, cattle panels, and I grow vertically with these squash, and your butternuts and your pie pumpkins, your spaghetti squash, and like I said, I'm missing one of them. But those aren't so heavy that they're gonna pull off the vine. And so it gets them up off the ground. It helps them season out well, keeps mold from happening. I think that the flowers are actually up in the air. It makes pollinating a little bit easier, but it just doesn't take up a lot of space. And so I really like this method. Currently with our storage, we don't really have good storage for squash. And so this is enough where we can freeze some and have some late into the fall, but I can't overwinter. I don't have a cellar. And so this is pretty good. And so you can see in front, I've got 2 extra peppers. Figured I had the peppers. I might as well put them in the ground. We'll see what they do. But these guys are just starting to grow, and pretty soon they'll start climbing. It does take some training. You do have to do a little bit of training if you want them to climb on that vine. But in a matter of 2-3 weeks, these fences will be completely covered in vines. And so that's pretty much it for the front veggie garden. We're gonna go to some other places where food is growing and just kind of talk about what's growing on the farm. So let's keep walking. So some of you guys may have recognized this spot. This is my chicken run orchard. And so we're growing some fruit on the farm this year. And each year it seems to be getting a little bit better. We do have some new chickens. I started, I believe it was 17 or 18 new laying birds. I think 4 of them went to my sister-in-law. And so we still got about 12, 13 of them. I don't really remember. And they're still inside the coop. They don't want to come out, so I'm gonna have to manually move them out. Inside this area here, this is the chicken run orchard. And so chickens do their thing out here. These fruit trees, you can see some fruits on the trees this year. They're looking good. We planted 2 more earlier in the season. I made a video when I did that. Had a really good flower count. okay pollination, and it's okay. It's okay. For the second year getting fruit, I'm pretty pleased with it. We did have gypsy moths come in, and all of a sudden I looked at the trees and they looked horrible. Come out here, there's caterpillars all over them. And so me and a couple of the kids, we went to work. We pulled off as many caterpillars as we could. Chickens loved it. Did some spraying, monitoring, picking, tried duct tape around the trunk, tried all these things. And I think that we're winning, but man, it felt like a fight. It felt like a fight for a while. And so, this is continuing to do okay. The chickens always, they see me and they want to be near me. But the orchard is doing okay. You can see some of our new growth over here. And so this is growing out pretty good. Each year canopies are getting a little bit bigger. And so one of my focuses this year has been to come along and actually clean up some of the original fencing. Original fencing was pretty ugly. And so clean that up. And yeah, you can see this guy right here. Got quite a bit of fruit on it. Trying to make sure there's not too much fruit. I think I stunted one of those trees last year by allowing too much fruit to grow. And so pretty pleased. We were expecting rain this morning, and I was going to spray this evening, and so we'll probably still spray this evening. And so that's what's growing there. We got a couple more places. Let's go. We got some pigs going on the farm this year, and so we have 3 pigs this year. Let's see if we can get them. This one in the middle over there, that is Miss Judy, and then we have Chris, we have Scott. And so these are a Berkshire cross. I believe they crossed with a Duroc, and a couple other things. I was able to find these from a fairly local guy. I think I had to travel about 25 minutes. And the facilities were super clean. They were indoors. They were, in regular furrowing cages. And so been pretty pleased with their growth so far. I would say that 3 pigs versus 2 pigs, more food, more water, more mess. These are our other 2 batches of pigs that we did. They would always do their pooping in one corner. These guys will poop wherever they want. You see Miss Judy there. She's just rolling in that mud. And they're digging more. They'll actually dig in their housing there. And so we've gotten about 4 inches of rain in the last week, and just an awful mess. They've dug up right in front of their feeder. Just a mess, but they're growing good. Like I said, they just want to dig, they just want to rut. And it makes me think, okay, is the housing correct? They do have a 32 by 32 foot space in here. So they're not packed. Would they do less rutting if they had more space? Would they do less rutting if they had smaller space? They seem to get startled very quickly. And so I always try to talk to them. I always say, hey pigs, as I'm walking down, so they don't but they're excited. They're super excited. Come here, Miss Judy. Come here, pigs. So Judy here, she loves to get rubs. I believe this is Scott here, and he is a big fella. Oh. Now this guy over here, he won't let me touch him. He'll come up and like pound it with his snout, and that's it. He won't let me touch him, and so it's that little bit of I gotta gain his trust before I send them on, right? And so, but these guys, yeah, they're getting big. They're looking good. And so, pretty fun. They like this weather. They like this cool, cloudy days. And these are the days that they just eat and they just sleep and they just drink water and they just poop and they grow. And so that is good. So we are just about done. Me and my youngest have been continuing to work on our pasture. We just got done brush hogging that, and so you can see it out there. We're finding stumps are starting to rot out, and so doing a little bit less moving around the stumps. Grasses are growing out there. Probably this fall, I've got an old tiller, or excuse me, I've got an old disc. I'll probably hook it up behind the tractor, and I can swing the tines of the discs in. I'll disturb that dirt a little bit come the fall. I'll probably just buy some pasture mix, as cheap as I can get, right? And I'll put that out there, and hopefully some fall germination will happen. And so we'll keep building up that soil with the hopes and dreams of some bigger ruminants getting in there eventually. Well, golly gee, Joe, why don't you just get someone in there with an excavator and just rip it all up? Mostly because I don't know what my plan is, right? I don't want to disturb things too much. I want to try to get the trees out so I can start figuring out where water is setting. If I'm going to get an excavator in, we're going to shape it so that water can kind of shed off that. And I know that I could just destroy it and turn this wooded space into 1 acre of pasture. But I just don't have that money, right? I got other places for that money. There's a little bit of a hobby. I don't know if I'll ever actually have a big animal on that piece of property, but I would say that it is improving. The last thing we got growing is we've just got a little bit of potatoes over here. Made a short a while back. Hilling the tomatoes. And so they're just doing their flowering thing. A few of them are dying out. There are some bugs in there. And then you'll see that there are some old potatoes that I didn't get to last year. This is our compost pile. That's an old compost pile that I need to stir that over so many grasses grow in that. This is the burial grounds for any critters. This is the burial grounds from processing our 34 meat chickens earlier. And so this is just where pond refuse goes. This is that space, right? And so we kind of rotate through. You can see last year's leaves there. And so it doesn't seem like stuff's growing here, but soil's growing, right? And so, whew, got a whole lot going on here. And so how am I going to turn this into a video? I don't know. I'm going to just cut out a lot of me yakking away, right? But we got a lot going on. Some of it is slow. Some of it seems very fast. I know that I will start picking green beans today or tomorrow. And once that starts, you know that you got at least an hour to 2 hours dedicated to green beans a day, which seems kind of silly. Right after green beans comes the second planting of green beans, right? And then come the end of August and you got tomatoes mixed in with all your others, your broccolis, why do we grow food, guys? Why do we even bother sometimes? Man, I just feel like we're supposed to do this stuff. My potatoes are never great, my potatoes are always small. This is super sandy soil. I don't irrigate this. Man, why? I think it's valuable to have food on the ground, to know where the food is growing on your piece of property. I do. Those pigs are down there. I don't have to worry if the electricity goes out. They're not in the freezer right now, right? They will be in the freezer, but it's good to have live meat on the ground. Someday I'd like to always have live meat on the ground, but I'm not there for sure. And so, if nothing else, I'm gaining skills that I feel are pretty valuable. A lot of people have seed vaults. A lot of people have, ideas. They've read a lot of books. They watch all the YouTube, right? But they haven't done. And so I've been watching a guy lately, Homesteading the Hard Way. I believe the guy's name is Chris. And man, he's a no-nonsense guy, but he's grown up with it. He raises some pigs and some gardens, and it's just fun to listen to him because he's seen it all. I think he's seen good times and he's seen bad times, and he's not on the YouTube to make the money. He's just talking and sharing, and I like that. I like that a lot. So here I find myself just jabbering away, right? I thought that I would get on YouTube and I'd make it rich. And now I'm on YouTube and I'm just finding people that I can relate to. Because believe it or not, I can't relate to this neighbor and I can't relate to this neighbor. And I know them and I know about them, but we're doing a completely different gig here. And so it's fun to see other people that I can relate to. Even if we don't do the same thing, we can still relate to them. Heard some snorting and snuffing over there. So, hey, I'm looking at this time and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm making a 30-minute video. And so we'll see. But that's what's growing here on the farm this year. Is everything going to be successful? No. Is everything going to be a complete failure? No. I really hate it when people would say, whoa, 2023 was a horrible growing season. Well, I don't think that's true. I think that sometimes our bads and our failures outweigh our successes. I know right now I put 34 meat chickens in the freezer. Am I losing some cabbage? Yeah, I'm losing some cabbage. Are squash bugs going to come in and eventually take out my zucchinis? Yeah, they probably are. Am I going to put lots of tomatoes in? Probably. Put lots of green beans in jars? Probably. Are my potatoes going to be small and horrible? Probably. And so we get goods, we get bads, and it's all good, right? And so what I do know is later on today, I'm gonna go swimming in that pond and I'm gonna go move some firewood, and maybe I'll edit this video today. Maybe I'll do it in a few days. I don't really know. I don't really care either, guys. So thank you for the 23 people that will watch this video. I appreciate your support and I appreciate you rooting me on. And I hope you grow something. I hope you grow something. I hope you enjoy what you get to do, even if it's hard work. I hope you enjoy it. And so I'm gonna put this camera away. I'm going to go inside. I probably should exercise, but I kind of want to just ride around the tractor. And so we'll see. All right. So I'm Joe. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Bye now.